Have you ever looked behind your speaker and seen 2 or sometimes even 3 terminals and wondered, hey, do I need 2 amps or 3 amps or what's going on? In this video, I'm going to break down why there are 2 terminals or 3 terminals at the back and the differences between BiAmping and BiWiring and which may or may not be beneficial to your system. So what is BiWiring? BiWiring is very simply when you take 2 pairs of cables from one amplifier and connect 1 pair to each terminal at the back of your speaker, and remember to remove the jumpers between the pair of terminals. What does it do? Well, in theory, it slightly cleans up the frequency because it makes sure that only part of the frequency is going to the tweeters and the woofers, as the external shorting is removed. However, in practice, whether it makes an audible difference is up for debate. In my opinion, BiWiring adds little or nothing to the system. What about BiAmping then? Well, that is a whole different beast. If you look at a traditional speaker design like the Klipsch Cornwall, you have the tweeter and maybe a mid-range driver, which are much smaller, and a very large woofer. Similarly, for the Brystons, you have relatively small tweeters and mid-range drivers and 4 larger woofers. What that means for your system is that the woofer that produces the low frequencies need much more power than either the tweeter or the mid-range driver. And your system can really benefit by having a higher powered amp powering the woofers on each pair of speakers and a separate amp which is lower power powering the tweeter and the mid-range. So how do I achieve BiAmping in practice? If you look at the setup here, I have the preamp that sends out the pre-amplified signal from the entire frequency range from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. But I need a device outside the speaker that splits that frequency range into low frequencies and high and mid frequencies. And that device is called an external crossover. So in a BiAmp system, I have my preamp, I have an external crossover that I connect the preamp to, and that external crossover then gives me 2 pairs of signals, one of the highs and mids and one of low frequencies. I then send the low frequency signals to a powerful amplifier that I connect to my speakers, and I send the highs and mids to another amplifier that I connect to my speakers as well. And that is a true bi-amplified system with a preamp, an external crossover, and a pair of amplifiers. The Bryston Model T10 over here has 3 pairs of terminals at the back, which means this speaker can be tri-amped. And that means you need a separate amplifier for the tweeters, for the mid-range drivers, and for the woofers. Bryston builds a crossover, an external crossover that is specifically tuned for this speaker that does the crossovers exactly aligned with these drivers. And if you want the best system your money can buy, then you need to buy a Bryston preamp, the Bryston crossover, 3 amplifiers, one for the tweeters, one for the mid-range, one for the woofers, and of course a pair of the speakers. And that system will blow your mind. So from BiWiring all the way to tri-amping, there are a huge range of options to improve your stereo setup. What you want to get depends on your budget and how much audible difference you can hear. So what we always recommend is get a pair of speakers, get an amplifier, hear how it sounds, get used to that system, and then over time, as you're looking to upgrade, you can add on components. But the only way to decide whether to upgrade or not is by forming a strong baseline. And you get that by getting a system and listening to it consistently so you know what your baseline is and how much of a difference a potential upgrade can make.